Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're retaking a deep dive into the epic history of one of the world's most fascinating countries, Spain. From ancient tribes to a global empire and modern democracy, Spain's story is a roller coaster of cultures, conflicts, and incredible art. So, grab your popcorn and let's journey back in time. Our story begins thousands of years ago, long before Spain was even a concept. The Iberian Peninsula was home to various tribes, most notably the Iberians in the south and east, and the Celts in the north and west. When these two cultures met and mingled, they formed imagine rugged warriors and early hilltop settlements. But things were about to get a lot more crowded. Around 1100 BC, Phoenician traders sailed in from the east, modern-day Lebanon, and set up trading posts along the southern coast. They founded cities like Gadir, which we know today as Cadiz, one of the oldest cities in Western Europe. They were followed by the Greeks, who established their own colonies. The peninsula was a hub of trade, rich in metals like silver and tin, which everyone wanted. Then came the heavyweights of the ancient world, Carthage and Rome. These two superpowers fought a series of brutal wars. The Punic Wars and the Iberian Peninsula became a key battleground. The legendary Carthaginian general, Hannibal, famously marched his elephants from Spain over the Alps to attack Rome. But in the end, Rome was victorious. 206 BC, the Romans had kicked the Carthaginians out and began their own conquest of the peninsula. It wasn't easy. The local tribes fought back fiercely for nearly 200 years, but Roman power was unstoppable. They named the new province Hispania, and for the next 600 years, they completely transformed the land. Rome brought its language, Latin, which would eventually evolve into Spanish. They built incredible infrastructure, roads, bridges, and aqueducts that are still standing today. They founded major cities like Merida, Zaragoza, and Tarragona. The emperors Trajan and Hadrian, two of Rome's most famous rulers, were actually born in Hispania. Spain became one of the most prosperous and Romanized parts of the entire empire, a breadbasket and a source of wealth. Christianity also spread during this time, laying the groundwork for Spain's future identity. But as we all know, all great empires eventually fall. By the 5th century AD, the Western Roman Empire was crumbling, and Germanic tribes started pouring across the borders. The most significant of these for Spain were the Visigoths. They established a kingdom that ruled over the peninsula for about 300 years. They adopted Roman culture and law, converted to Catholicism, and tried to create a unified state from their capital in Toledo. However, their rule was plagued by internal conflicts and succession crises, which left them vulnerable. And that vulnerability led to one of the most pivotal moments in Spanish history. In the year 711, a small force of Arab and Berber Muslims, led by Tariq ibn Ziyad, crossed the Strait of Gibraltar. This was supposed to be a small raid, but they found the Visigothic kingdom so weak that they quickly conquered almost the entire peninsula. This began a new era, the Age of Enlightenment. For nearly 800 years, a large part of Spain was under Muslim rule. This period was far from a dark age. In many ways, it was a golden age. The capital, Cordoba, became the largest and most advanced city in Europe. It was a beacon of learning and culture, with a massive library, stunning architecture, and breakthroughs in science, medicine, and philosophy. Scholars from all over the world, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, lived and worked together, translating ancient Greek texts and making new discoveries. The Great Mosque of Cordoba and the Alhambra Palace in Granada are breathtaking testaments to this period's artistic genius. But Al-Andalus wasn't a single, unified state for all 800 years. It fractured into smaller kingdoms, called Tifus. And meanwhile, the small Christian kingdoms that had held out in the mountains of the north began to push back. This was the beginning of the Reconquista, or the Reconquest. For centuries, the Christian kingdoms of Castile, Aragon, Portugal, and Navarre slowly, and sometimes not so slowly, expanded south. This was a complex period of shifting alliances, truces, and constant warfare. It wasn't just a simple story of Christians versus Muslims. Christian kingdoms fought each other, and they sometimes allied with Muslim tifas, Against their rivals, this long struggle forged a powerful military identity and a zealous religious fervor within the Christian kingdoms. The final phase of the Reconquista kicked into high gear in the 15th century with one of history's most famous power couples, Isabella I of Castile and Ferdinand II of Aragon. Their marriage in 1469 united the two largest Christian kingdoms, effectively creating the foundation of modern Spain. They were known as the Catholic monarchs, and they were determined to complete the year 1492 is arguably the most important year in Spanish history. First, after a long siege, Granada, the last Muslim stronghold, finally fell. The Reconquista was complete. Second, Isabella and Ferdinand issued the Alhambra Decree, ordering all Jews in Spain to either convert to Catholicism or be expelled. This, along with the later expulsion of Muslims, had a huge and often devastating impact on Spanish society and its economy. But something else happened in 1492 that would change not just Spain, but the entire world. The Catholic monarchs agreed to fund the risky voyage of an Italian sailor named Christopher Columbus, who believed he could reach Asia by sailing west. As we know, he didn't reach Asia. He stumbled upon the Americas. This discovery launched the Spanish Empire. In the 16th and 17th centuries, conquistadors like Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro conquered the vast Aztec and Inca empires in Mexico and Peru. An immense river of gold and silver flowed from the New World into Spain, making it the richest and most powerful nation in Europe. This was Spain's Siglo de Oro, its golden century. Spanish culture, artists like El Greco and Velázquez painted masterpieces, and writers like Cervantes wrote Don Quixote, considered the first modern novel. The Spanish Habsburg dynasty ruled over a global empire on which the sun never set, stretching from the Philippines to the Americas. But this incredible power couldn't last forever. Constant wars in Europe, like the 30 Years' War, and conflicts with England and the Netherlands drained the treasury. Even with all the American silver, the Spanish economy, overly reliant on colonial wealth and plagued by inflation, began to stagnate. The last Spanish Habsburg king died without an heir, leading to the War of the Spanish Succession in the early 18th century. The war ended with a French Bourbon prince on the Spanish throne, a dynasty that, amazingly, still reigns today. The Bourbons tried to modernize Spain's administration and economy, but the empire was in a slow, steady decline. The early 19th century brought more turmoil. Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Spain, sparking a brutal war of independence, known as the Peninsular War. This conflict inspired the famous paintings by Goya, while the Spanish, with British help, eventually drove the French out. The chaos back home had a huge consequence. It inspired the colonies in Latin America to fight for their own independence. By 1825, Spain had lost almost all of its once mighty American empire. The rest of the 19th century was a mess of political instability, civil wars, and struggles between liberals and conservatives. The country lurched from monarchy to republic and back again. The Industrial Revolution arrived late, and Spain fell behind its northern European neighbors. The final blow to its imperial pride came in 1898, when Spain lost Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines to the United States in the Spanish-American War. The early 20th century saw continued unrest, deep social divisions between the rich and poor, the church and the state, and different regions created a political tinderbox. This finally exploded in 1936 with the start of the Spanish Civil War. This was a devastating 3-year conflict. On one side were the Republicans, a mix of socialists, communists, and liberals. On the other were the nationalists, led by General Francisco Franco, supported by conservatives, the church, and fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. The war was incredibly brutal and served as a tragic dress rehearsal for World War II. In 1939, Franco's nationalists won. He established a dictatorship that would rule Spain for nearly 40 years. For decades, Spain was isolated from the rest of Europe, politically repressed, and economically backward. But in the 1960s, a tourism boom and economic reforms began to open the country up. Franco died in 1975. He had named King Juan Carlos I as his successor, expecting him to continue the dictatorship. But the king surprised everyone. He skillfully steered the country toward democracy. A new constitution was approved in 1978, establishing Spain as a constitutional monarchy with regional autonomy. Since then, Spain has transformed into a vibrant, modern, and democratic nation. It joined the European Union, hosted the 1992 Barcelona Olympics, and became a global leader in areas like renewable energy and tourism. Of course, it still faces challenges, like economic crises and debates over regional identity, particularly in Catalonia and the Basque Country. But that's the story of Spain, a complex tapestry woven from Iberian tribes, Roman engineers, Visigothic kings, Muslim scholars, Catholic crusaders, and global explorers. It's a history that lives on in its language, its incredible architecture, its art, and the passionate spirit of its people. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through Spanish history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shaped our world. Let me know in the comments which country's history you'd like to see next. Until then, see you in the next video.